Okay.
Andy McGill's coming.
Before I get started, well, I guess I'll go through the disclaimer first. For those of you that are brand new, who is brand new? Where's those green dots out there? All right, let's give them a round of applause. So you are being recorded when you come into here. We have a lot of cameras everywhere, not just for security, but we also record everything and put it on YouTube later. So if you are not supposed to be here or you're supposed to be somewhere else, you need to leave, okay? Or we have sunglasses and hats for sale at the front desk, and you can be incognito for the night. Put on incognito mode. All right, and who's my sponsors here tonight? Woo-hoo! Let's give them a round of applause too, please. So we have a few sponsors, lenders, escrow companies, other services. If you guys can, we're always looking for a notary sponsor. All we ask guys is they help support the club. They're members first. I don't let people just walk in here and throw money at me. A lot of people always ask me and then they disappear. So everybody's a member first. They've all been around for a long time before they get to become sponsors. Okay, so give them a chance to earn your business. If you need of those services, just give them a chance first to earn your business. Okay, you can go to the website or scan that code, or just go to the website and click the big sponsor button. Okay. And before I get into this, I'm going to back up a second. Who made an offer in the last week? Ryan. Yay. And Rafa and Chris. Okay, Ryan, come up here. Come on up.
Let's go, Ryan.
Did it get accepted?
It was literally just today. I have no idea.
All right, cool, right on. So tell us about what it is and how you found it, and then how you kind of came up with the offer, the quicker version.
Okay, so actually three offers. Two were commercial properties for self-storage development, and one is a multifamily in Louisville, Kentucky. And one of the commercial lots came from a realtor. Another one I found on my own and skip traced the owner and I'm in conversation with him. And then the one in Louisville also came from a realtor. So
Excellent.
Just put offers out today, LOI actually, and we'll see if it goes anywhere.
Good stuff. Good luck. Rafa?
Sure.
Come on up. We need like a sound effects cues. There you go.
All right, so I put in a few offers this week. The most recent one I did, a friend of mine, listing agent on a property she's been struggling to sell for a long time. She gave me an ARV. I looked at the RV. Thought it was a little bit high. So I told her what I thought. She thought I was a little bit too low, so that when my offer came in, she thought it was even lower.
That happens. A lot.
Well, the thing with this property, again, it's not in terrible shape. I think it's just overpriced, frankly. I made an offer either way.
You just put the cash offer at her?
Yeah, put in a cash offer. Told her we could probably work out a few other things, but just probably wasn't something that the seller was interested in going after.
Okay. But you said there was multiple ones.
I did have another offer that I put in. Again, another listing agent. This one I wasn't even anticipating, frankly, was last week I was knocking on doors, making contacts, talking with people, and I had somebody call me back and say, hey, I got this property down the street, it's up for sale, this and that. In the moment when she called, I was working on something intensive. I was stranded out in the middle of nowhere, trying to fix the engine, getting it to work. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. Took down her information, took down the number, the address of the property, and early in the week, I happened to be in the neighborhood, so I said, yeah, why not? Go down there and check it out. The house, again, it's a Rancho Cucamonga, great house, used to be a rental, really doesn't need anything. So I was talking with a listing agent and telling her, yeah, it's a great house. I do buy and sell homes. So this would be something I'd probably want to do a seller carried financing on, or probably, maybe even an ovation offer, but frankly, seller carried would be the way to go. And After I left, she gave me a call back. Well, what would it look like? What would you do? Well, I mean, if you wanted innovation, I'd probably go in.
What's innovation?
Thank you, Andy.
All right,
Let's get it.
innovation. Thank you for the question. So, I guess the easiest way to kind of describe it is essentially you're kind of signing over a power of attorney, and it's not even really that. It's an agreement to make repairs on the owner's behalf, and then selling the home on the owner's behalf, and then just collecting your fee when escrow closes. So if the home needs, I don't know, $40,000 worth of repairs, when escrow closes, you're collecting $80,000 or $70,000, depending on the fee that you agree upon before starting the repairs.
Nice. Nice. It's funny, I've done that a couple times, but I didn't realize there was a term for it. So, cool.
So she called me back. She said, "Explain it to me. This sounds like something that might be able to work. Let me get in touch with them." And I'm still waiting to hear a yes or no from her, but she was really very interested in those options. So we'll see.
Excellent, excellent. Cool. Let's give a round of applause. So one other hand go up, Chris. You want to talk about an offer you made?
Sure.
Come on down.
I'm a giver.
I thought your thing was saying YOLO on it. I didn't realize it was saying hello. I think you should change it to YOLO.
YOLO?
Yeah. YOLO live once.
Is that even a thing anymore? Sure, sure. We haven't rebranded Carpe Diem yet? Again? All right, go ahead. Tell us about this offer.
Not that exciting, but I have some of you might have come to Rich's and Evan's class
Firefast? Yep.
a while back, and they came out to my house in Pimmons. It was a doozy, and we got it fixed. It's rehabbed and on the market for sale. But I started door knocking more recently, which I hate door knocking. I really don't like bothering people. I'm actually an introvert. But you got to get out there. So I was door knocking around the house, and the actual neighbor had come over because I put solar on my house. I work for Sunrun a little bit too on the side, but they put solar on my house, and he had come over and goes, "Hey, I want to put solar on my house. My electric bill's crazy." And so I went over there. I said, "Why don't you just sell me the house?" So because his son is older now, the place is a disaster. It needs a new roof. It needs a new main panel. And so, I mean, that's why I'm saying I don't have a deal yet, but I was doing a little door knocking around the house and asked him.
Perfect. That's the best way in. Hey, I own the house down the street.
And you're already talking to them, so why not make him an offer? So I made him an offer. He looked at me like I was crazy, but that's where the conversation starts, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. Any other offers out there? Any offers accepted? No? All right. Well, so I like to bring people up at the beginning of the meeting. The main reason to remind everybody that yes, we are here to educate and help and do all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you guys have to be taking action and making those offers. So if you're just coming here and eating a really good pizza, these deals aren't going to fall in your lap, okay? You need to be out there making the offers. I had an interesting one this morning. My neighbor at one of my rentals, actually the first rental I bought, called me this morning. I talked to him last week when my weed abatement guy accidentally cut down all of his not wife's flowers. He wasn't happy about that. And he called me and he was telling me how he almost lost the house that almost went into foreclosure a couple months ago. And I told him, I'm like, dude, if you're in that situation here, don't let that happen. Like, just call me. So today, he called. I expected to get this call not a week later. But a week later, today, he calls me and he says, Rich, I'd hate to do this, but my power got shut off. I owe Edison $5,000. And they want $2,500 to reinstate my power. And I was like, wow, that's. I didn't realize they just shut off your power like that, especially for that kind of bill. I guess COVID's over. People don't need help anymore, I guess. But anyways, he was concerned about all his groceries they just bought, in his fridge and whatnot. And I said, sorry, I can't do anything today. I wouldn't be able to do it quite that fast in that situation. But I did let him I told him to run an extension cord over to my house next door and at least get his fridge plugged in so that he can save his food. But I'm probably going to, I haven't made the offer yet. I'm just telling you guys the situation, why it's important to talk to your neighbors for this reason right here. Because I will probably end up lending him the money as either an option to purchase the house later or as a loan or whatever, okay? And that goodwill will eventually, you know, and he's told me before that he'd probably sell me the house. What do you think the odds are in the future now? So, higher probability for sure. So make sure you guys are talking to your neighbors. I talked to a new member yesterday. For those of you new members out there, you do get 30 minutes with me when you sign up to become a member. I give you 30 minutes of whatever you need to get started, okay? I talked to one girl yesterday that was, she delivers for Instacart. Okay, she was asking, she didn't have much money for like marketing and stuff like that. She didn't have much money, she didn't have much time because she's always out there Instacarting. And I said, you're in a great spot. Anybody else Instacarting or Ubering or DoorDashing? If you're already in one of those roles, you're in a great position to just drive for dollars naturally, especially with Instacart, because you actually get a lead into talking. So I told her, every time you deliver food and somebody answers the door, say, hey, I really like this neighborhood. You know anybody that has a problem and needs to sell a house? That's it. That's just do that. She says she delivers the 10 houses a day. I'm like, just do that for a couple weeks and then tell me how it goes. And I promise you, having that many conversations and not being afraid to go talk to the neighbors and go talk to everybody that opens that door is going to hopefully at least get her somewhere, or at least have a conversation with somebody.
Wait, my people leave it on the front porch and don't tell me it's already arrived, and then it sits there for an hour. That's how the thing gets
On Instacart, really?
sometimes, yeah. But not,
I've had Uber guys do that.
at least
But
they're knocking on the door, that's good.
yeah, that's a start. They're not FedEx. They don't just like
Yeah.
and then run. So, anyways, all right. So again, important thing: just be talking to people constantly. Tell them what you do. Don't be afraid. Don't be a secret agent. Just keep making offers. Keep talking to people. That's the number one way to get this done. Okay. Just hoping that something's going to fall in your lap is a lot harder. Okay. All right. We went through the disclaimer. Went through the sponsors. So tonight I am going to focus on kind of just some general best practices around flipping. And then I did a presentation. I kind of hybridized this presentation from what I did probably over a year ago called the FHA Flip, where I focused on flips basically under like $500,000. Okay, that's pretty much my bread and butter. And assuming nothing with your contractors and with your crews and whatnot. And we're going to talk about some of those assumptions that I have myself made. What really kind of made me want to do this presentation was, for the first time, I have done over now 100 flips. I don't know, probably around like 120 and like 30 different wholesale deals. Okay, this is the first time. This just happened a week ago. The first time that I had to let a crew go in over 5 years and probably over like 80 something flips. Okay. And as a crew that's worked for me in the past, and the job got away from me, and I assumed things, and I'm here tonight to share with you on those assumptions that I made, and kind of how to. I'm living proof you can't always protect yourself. Sometimes shit happens, but you can kind of use some of that experience if you do get into a flip. Okay. So that's me. That's actually Manny in the back there. We're standing in one of the mobile homes that me, Manny, and Farrah and Carl are doing. That's my, I guess, preemptive. That was actually from 3 months ago, but I'm making the face today of like, what the fuck? Because that's kind of how I feel with not this crew, but a different crew. So, anyways, so I'm going to go over my my background and whatnot, and talk about some past flips, managing contractors, avoiding pitfalls. Assuming nothing again, and then I'm going to say, if you guys have a question, you can jump in. It's not a big deal. What I'm not going to cover is how to find or fund deals. I'm not going to go over pulling permits, and I'm not going to go into like in-depth budgeting. Okay, that's a whole weekend class. Okay, speaking of, if you want to come to a weekend class, there's a guy named John Shaw coming out. He's teaching a lot of that. So that's at the end of the presentation. Okay, but if you don't want to wait for John, You can go to the newly branded YouTube channel at Fire Center HQ. That has over 380 videos of everywhere from how to find deals, how to fund deals, the podcast recordings, the previous podcast that the club used to have back in the day, and all kinds of speakers and presenters and stuff over about 8 years of the Inland Empire Real Estate Club being around. Okay, so there's a ton of content on there. There's also a whole the Surcash roundtable that we did at Habaneros before we got this place, of Evan doing all kinds of and other speakers doing all kinds of presentations, how to talk to sellers, how to negotiate with sellers. It's all there. Okay, you don't got to spend $50,000 on some guru. It's right on YouTube. Okay, so take a picture of that, check it out. As far as my background, I started flipping and wholesaling in 2017. So I've been doing it for 7 years now, something like that. I've done somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 deals. I honestly don't count anymore. I've been a housing provider since 2020. I bought my first house a week after they closed Disneyland. Some of you probably heard this story, but for those of you that haven't, my mom right there called me and said, "Have you heard that there's this thing going around?" And I was like, yeah. Let me know when they close Disneyland, and I'll take it seriously. And she called me like 2 days later. She's like, "They're closing Disneyland." And I was like, "Oh shit." So this must be serious. So anyways, I was in escrow to buy my first rental at the time, a duplex up in the mountains. And I came to this club. I was nervous as hell because I didn't know what was going to happen. Like everybody else, everything was crashing. We had people pulling out of wholesale deals that we were in. Walking away, there's the only deals we've ever walked away from was when COVID hit. And so I didn't know what to do, but I came to this club, and Andy and Steve, the guy who used to run this place, were like, asked me what the interest rate was, and I was nervous to tell them that there was a 2 in front of it. I don't remember why. And they were like, "Buy the freaking house." And so I did, and that started my landlording. So I am up to 11 doors now. I'm in the process of a few more. I purchased IRIC in 2021, and then we founded this place in 2023. Okay, and for those of you that haven't heard the announcement, as of December, we started calling this place the Fire Center. I was in a little bit of a trademark dispute, which I won, so now it's official. That's why it's on the wall with the new banner that's up there. And your first advice, if you're ever flipping or doing, redoing a warehouse, don't use industrial double-sided tape to hang a banner. It does not work well when you want to take it down and put a nicer graphic up. So don't ignore that. I know, I shouldn't have said anything. All right, and then current project-wise, I'm in the middle of, like I said, 7 flips and 7 mobile homes in Paris. They're all done. They're just currently being listed. 5 of them are in escrow. We did all 7 of them from start to finish in 10 weeks with about, my main crew had probably 16 different subs in there at some point. The mobile home in Crestline is almost done. It's been almost done. 2 more days for about 8 weeks. So we'll get into that. Rentals wise, I have 2 vacancies that are giving me a little trouble still. And actually that one right there there's about 7 flights of stairs going that way. And it's been a little tough to rent, but we'll get it done. And then I'm in the middle of converting some ADUs and also legalizing some ADUs that I have in my rentals. And in my spare time, I run this place. Okay, so I also have a podcast. So if you want to check that out, it's firechatpodcast.com. You can check it out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. I am always looking for guests. So if you want to be on the show, you can go to that website also or scan that code. Always looking for more people to talk. I think there's plenty of podcasts out there that focus on like the big numbers and people doing all kinds of crazy apartment complexes and syndications and whatnot. My goal with this podcast was to be a little bit more grounded, real people like all of us in the room doing real deals locally, and kind of their path through on how they got into real estate, trying to be financially independent, all that stuff. So definitely check that out. And some examples of some flips here. Some of these are old, some of these are new. That's a bathroom. That's all three of those are in Crestline, actually. You'll see a pattern, which I'll talk about a little bit more. I don't really like design everything from scratch I kind of have a system that I just keep doing the same thing over and over again until it stops working. And so far it hasn't stopped working. So I use the same bathroom tile, colors, same vanities, same floors. That's my former Airbnb up in Crestline. That was the before kitchen, the after kitchen. That one I went a little bit prettier on, being that it was an Airbnb. But most of the time I definitely do not do beadboard and nice overhead ranges or fans and big old sinks, and most of the time I don't do that, okay? I also never do shutters, that's for damn sure. But my dad and my stepmom had some free time and they went crazy. So, and I just kept saying, okay, sounds good. Anyways, that's another one in Crestline. You can see the deck was pretty jacked up on that one. That whole house was pretty jacked up. Someone had stole the kitchen, which I forgot to put a picture in. But and another one up in Cedar Pines Park, which is next to Crestline, and you can see, which I'll talk about a little bit later. There was a deck at the front of it, and that deck got removed because that's what that deck looked like, and it was cheaper to just remove it instead of trying to rebuild the whole thing. Okay? Yes?
Up in the mountains like that, when you have all those stairs and you have to replace the decks and things, is it hard to get construction workers up there with their equipment and whatnot?
No, not really. I haven't had a problem. There's crews that are up there that are used to working in the mountains. But the crew that did this one is from Paris. So, but this one was pretty flat. This is a flat lot. The house that I'm having an issue with the stairs at the moment is that one was a pain in the ass because it was the only way to get them in the front door. It cost $30,000 just to get the crew in the front door because the stairs and decks and everything to get down were that expensive. I've learned the hard way that if you want your stairs to be straight and decks to be straight, you pay a lot of money for them. If you want to save a lot of money, you might be a little crooked, a little wonky. The steps might be different heights. Maybe you'll get a handrail you can actually grab onto, maybe not.
The 7-Eleven is such a tough number to remember.
I know. The rise and run there. I know. So, and that one's one we did recently. A lot of decks. Again, those are that was an awesome house that I really wanted to hang on to, but the interest rates skyrocketed in the middle of it, and I didn't get to do that. So,
Are those decks cantilevered or posted?
They were posted. No, they were posted. So, wait, you're talking about the bottom one or these guys?
Those guys.
Those are all cantilevered. This one was posted.
I didn't see any posts.
Yeah, so we really wanted, one of the biggest complaints we got on that house was that they were too short. We really wanted to stick them out further, but the cost of doing that was already, that house actually cost, that was the most expensive paint job. That paint job cost $34,000, and that was because the scaffolding alone was $10,000, which I did not anticipate when I bought it. Luckily, I got a really good deal on that house. Not good enough. I should have asked for 30 more. So, but we still made out. I think we'll be clear on that one, like 70, something like that at the end of. Yeah, the guy that bought it's extending the decks. So, which means he's probably ripping up mine, which means I spent about 20 grand. Oh well, it happens. All right, and then that one's at Apple Valley. That's a house I did a long time ago. We were still using Home Depot cabinets and the rounded granite, but that was, pretty. That was probably at that time. That was definitely the most jacked up house that I'd done in a while.
It had a nice kitchen.
It had a nice kitchen, yeah.
Lovely yellow.
And then that's one of the rentals I still own. You can see here they had a lot of plumbing. This is plumbing going through here. And it was plumbing that was boxed in with pieces of drywall wrapped in duct tape. And it leaked. And that was the toilet up top. So there was brown stains coming through it on the carpet. And so we cleaned all that up and kind of made the room feel a lot bigger. It's kind of hard to get a picture of that one. And then same, this is an example right here. This house, actually, so much of the outside was messed up that there wasn't a whole lot left over for the inside. Let's put it that way. So normally I probably would have painted cabinets, at least done some countertops, but the budget was already way outside of it. And I was hanging on to it as a rental. So that one we just cleaned up and redid the floor. So wasn't my first choice of flooring, but when I was under the gun for a appraisal before my rate expired, and that was all they had, it's okay. It was just a rental. I didn't have to see it until I decided to move into it. And then I had to look at that tile for 2 years. But we just moved out of it, so I'm free. So, and then these are pictures from the 7 mobile homes out in Paris. You can tell how jacked up a lot of them were. But we really did save as much as we could. We only ended up replacing the kitchen cabinets in one unit. We saved them in every single other unit. And we only did, I think we got away with doing 2 new vanities out of 7 houses. We were able to save the other 7. So we didn't do a single countertop. We just refinished them. So, and then this, every once in a while when I'm out of houses to flip, I start flipping warehouses. So this was that was the original of this when we moved in. If you look around, I don't think it's too bad for a dirty old warehouse. I think it looks pretty good now. So nobody agrees apparently. So okay, so why I stick to kind of the smaller deals underneath 500,000. When I first started coming to this club, I would get up here, or I'd be in the audience, and I'd be listening to some of the people doing flips. And they used to do something called the Flippy Award. It was like who did the best flip, and it was always a popularity contest. But anyways, until I guess I won one year, so when I wasn't that popular, so maybe not. Anyways, people would do these like, we're doing $700,000 purchases, $200,000 rehabs, and then they were walking away with $50,000 profit, and they were like excited. Not that everyone's excited to make money, right? But we're looking at the numbers of like the money they were putting in, and Evan and I were sitting in the audience, and we're like, oh my God, we're buying them for like 90, putting 40 into them and making 60. Like, we'd much rather be at those numbers. So we kind of focused on that because you don't always make a lot. Obviously, some people do multi-million-dollar flips and make more than 50. Okay, but it's just a lot of risk, a lot of money out there. We've always done finance our own rehabs. We generally borrow money for purchase and then finance our own rehabs, so we don't have to deal with draws and all that stuff. So it worked. It works. It still works. But generally, what I like about the smaller deals and the FHA people, buyers, is they just want a house. Okay, this isn't like, it could be their forever house, but a lot of times you're talking starter houses, you're talking first-time buyers that are just desperate. They don't want to be renting anymore. They just want to own something. Okay, and that doesn't mean they're all like this. I'm just talking generally here. But most of the time, that means that they're tired of apartments, they're tired of renting. They want to put down some roots somewhere or just own something. Their family's growing and they don't have a choice. They want to get out of the 2-bedroom apartment, but the neighbors above them waking their kid up every night, whatever. And I feel like they're less likely. That doesn't mean they're always less likely, but you still get some buyers that are just like, "Are you serious?" They're less likely to be super nitpicky on repairs because they don't want to lose the deal either. It's hard to get an offer accepted a lot of times. And then same with like termite beyond Section 1. Okay, so Section 1 termite, you don't have a choice most of the time. But beyond that, they're not getting super, super, super picky. Okay, somebody that's buying, we fell into this trap one time. Somebody that's buying, we had a house that we listed, and we got a cash offer for like, what was it, like 10,000 under asking? It wasn't that bad. And we're like, yeah, sure. Well, as soon as the inspections came up, they did what we teach all of you to do. Like, well, what about that right there? Like, I need like $5,000 off for that, and I need $6,000 off for this. Oh, the plumbing's old. I'm gonna have to replace that. And so we ended up telling that guy to go to hell. But the point was that we went into escrow, for it, and then we're like, oh crap, like this. So trying not to take, and even if you put as is in the sale, that doesn't really mean anything. They can still ask for whatever they want. Okay, but most of these first-time buyers, these FHA buyers, people using USDA loans for zero down or VA loans for zero down, they just want to get into something. Okay, and they're not going to risk blowing the person that said yes, blowing the deal, and for something that's minor, like just some termite rot on a set of stairs or something like that. Okay, they're not going to get crazy over that stuff. Again, for the most part, unless the bank requires it, that's a separate story. Okay, and they just want to close. The other thing is, we do so much in the mountains and these lower areas. They're not really. They just want the house. They're not worried about landscaping. You don't need to have a pool. You don't need to have 10 grand worth of rockscape and sod and whatever, because chances are they're going to change it anyways if they do get the house or close. And two, they just want the house. Again. So, and then some of like the, not so great things about first-time buyers or FHA buyers in general is that they generally are first-time buyers. So usually they've never bought a house, and usually their agent, they're trying, but usually the agent is brand new and has never actually sold a house or bought a house. So they kind of have sometimes you get the ones that have like unrealistic expectations, and then sometimes you get the ones that have a brand new agent that just does not know the process, and you're just, kind of wringing your neck a little bit, or your agent is. So, also every once in a while you get the, we want it perfect. This is our first house. This is our I deserve the best, kind of thing. And, you got to deal with that stuff every once in a while. Also, the big one with FHA is that the appraisal can be a little bit tougher. The appraiser can be a little bit tougher. The appraisers on FHA act as their own inspectors. Okay? And so if there's certain things, which I think I have a slide for it later, they get their home inspection, and that guy flags some things. Then the appraiser comes in, and he flags some more things. Okay, and there's certain things that the FHA appraisers always look for. Okay, and if you don't, and there's like 3 things. I'll wait for the slide. And then it's tough. It's really tough, and it's really easy. It's tough to not go overboard, but it's really easy to go overboard. Okay, you're talking FHA first-time buyers in California. These are starter homes. I know who watches HGTV. Who's a big Joanna Gaines fan? She sold out to Target. You don't like her anymore? No? Okay. What's that? That's not so. It's not real life. Yeah, they don't show a lot on the. There's a lot that they leave out on those shows. Without the numbers work, without the designs work. Look, if you got somebody that's going to write you a check, no matter what the house sells for, you're probably going to do a lot more than you need to for TV. Okay, but the reality is that most of the colors you pick, they're going to change eventually. Most of the like landscaping, that kind of stuff, they're probably not going to repaint the outside of the house. Okay, but they are probably going to add some color inside. They're going to decide that, the accent wall that you did and spent money on, that they don't like it, they're going to change it to another color. I don't think I have this in here anywhere, so I'll just tell the story. Flip we did years ago, the walls were all like this like pale yellow, this pale yellow color, okay? Not from like smoke or anything, it was just the color that it was. And we repainted the entire house. And the buyers, I accidentally left the keys for another house in that house. I don't even know how that happened, because now we use, I don't remember a day that we didn't use lock boxes and everything. So I don't know why I had keys to this other house, but I left it in this house for some reason. I think it was the contractor, which is funny, it's the same contractor I'm going to talk about later. There's a pattern here. So I go over there, and they had closed, it took me about 2 weeks to figure out that the keys were there. So I go over there, knock on the door. Guess what color they painted the walls? Pale yellow. So, yeah. Another house, we put in a nice stainless stove. Stove? What did I say? Stainless steel stove. Put in a nice stove. It goes up on for sale like 2 or 3 years later after we sold it to them, and they had replaced the stove with a black one. They had taken down the nice backsplash we did and put something horrible up, and then they redid the floor, the kitchen floor that we had spent all kinds of money on. We put like nice click lock, like actual like pergo flooring in, and now we do all vinyl. We do sheet vinyl because we learned that people are just going to go put in something else later. So, anyways, so back to contractors is it's tough to find, and this we're going to talk about this a little more too. It is really tough to find contractors that do a good enough job to pass inspection and make it look nice, but know to not go too far. Okay, because contractors, this is why a lot of contractors will run into trouble when they try and flip their own houses or start flipping their own projects, is that the contractor mind, is like they got to fix it. They got to keep going until they find the root cause of it and fix it, which means they're usually diving into things, tearing things open, whatever. Okay, they go exploring. Okay, we don't want to go exploring. Okay, we want to fix what we can see and not explore as little as possible. Okay, I'm not saying hide stuff. I'm saying don't find out it's there. Okay, once you know it's there, you got to fix it. Okay, and finding people that will stay in that realm and kind of know their role is tough. Okay, that is a struggle. Okay, so yeah, again, it's not HGTV. So inspections before you buy. These are, you can get your own home inspection. Generally, if you're buying from a private seller or something like that, you don't really usually have time for it. At least not while you're negotiating. But you can get it while you're in escrow. Personally, keep in mind anything that inspector finds that you didn't know about, yes, you can use it to your advantage with the seller, but then you also have to either disclose it later or fix it, because now you know about it, okay? But your own inspections, okay, get under the house, especially the foundation, if it's a raised foundation, get under there somehow, look at the pillars, get a flashlight, always have a big, nice flashlight on you. It's better to have like an actual powered flashlight than just your phone.
Have to do that on a slab house.
Or if it's a slab, you don't have to worry about it. Then, slab, look for any signs of slab leaks, or like really bad cracks, or, foundation issues are a big one. They get expensive. You can keep an eye out for like knob and tube wiring. Common thing is it's not actually illegal to have it. It's just unsightly and people don't like it and inspectors call it out. So as long as you don't touch it, as long as you leave it, it's fine, okay? But if you start modifying it or tying into it, that's when it gets messy, okay? Pull old leaves and dirt away from the house, like especially the foundation. Don't just assume it's all good under there. Leaves and dirt and all that kind of stuff, it holds moisture, especially like on decks or up against wood siding. It holds moisture in like a sponge, okay? And it just starts rotting it out. Also, insects get in there and start burrowing, eating it, okay? That's a big one. Let's see, more than 3 layers of roofing. If there's more than 3 layers, it's got to come off. Okay, you can't. If it's 2 layers, you can still go over 1 more layer. Okay, if it's over 3 or it's already 3 and it's shot, you got to tear the whole thing off down to the sheeting. Okay, scaffolding. If you think you're going to need scaffolding is not cheap, especially when it's 4 or 5 stories high on the side of a mountain. Okay, what else I got in there? Yes.
So when you get the scaffolding, after you've used it, you put it away in storage somewhere, right? Or is that
So I did. It's funny you say that. I thought it would be cheaper to buy scaffolding one time. The guys were like, "We need scaffolding. We can't do it with a ladder." I'm like, "All right. Well, I don't want to rent it. I'll buy it. I'll store it later." Well, they got the scaffolding out. Turns out they didn't. I bought the one with wheels. They wanted the one with the screw footing, whatever it was. So it didn't end up even working. That scaffolding was bought, I don't know, 4 years ago, maybe. It's still sitting in that contractor's warehouse in Apple Valley, and we've still never used it. So, scaffolding companies, personally, they come out, they do it, they scaffolded that entire house in one day. 3 sides all the way around, 4 stories tall. So, and they did it quickly, and they brought it down just as fast. Okay, so I would highly recommend not messing around with scaffolding yourself. I would just, as much as it costs, I would just go pay somebody.
Plus the liability.
Plus liability. I think you probably still have the liability. It's your house, but yeah, maybe there's somebody else that shares a little liability with you. Yeah. Yeah, they probably made us sign something. I don't remember. So what else we got here? Look at the electrical panel. Okay. If you're, if it looks somewhat modern, you're in good shape. If there's a big old thing that looks like something out of a movie set, like that you can grab onto and pull, that's pretty old, and it's going to be expensive. Okay. You don't have to replace it. Okay, but if you want to do things that make you have to up your electrical capabilities on the house, you're going to have to. Okay, panel replacements anywhere between like $2,000 and $4,000, $2,000 and $5,000, depending on what and how big you're talking. Okay, HVAC. If you are concerned in any way about HVAC, get a licensed HVAC guy to look at it. Okay, there's a lot of intricate parts and things that go into condensers and fans and heaters and all that kind of stuff. Have somebody look at it. Okay, I did get $10,000 knocked off a house once because I had an HVAC guy look at it, and he was like, "Dude, the heat exchanger's got a crack in it. It's done. Once the heat exchanger has a crack in it, there's no repairing it. You have to replace it. So that's $8,000 for a furnace. Okay, so big item. Have somebody look at it. Okay, if it's working great, it's up to you if you want to roll the dice or not. Another one is septic tanks. Okay, I know they sound scary. They're not that bad. They're actually pretty straightforward. It's just a plastic tank in the ground with some tubes that run out of it at the end of the day, in and out of it. But they can get expensive. Okay, for a brand new septic system, you're probably looking between like $10,000 and $15,000 more if it needs to be bigger. Okay, so if you're worried about the septic, I'd get an inspection. Yes.
Is there a particular life expectancy for a septic tank?
Is there a typical life expectancy for a septic tank? I don't know. Off the top of my head, I would say probably like 30 to 50 years. You're supposed to it depends on how you maintain them. You're supposed to get them pumped every few years to get the solids out. The one I've seen, but that being said, we've bought houses where they never pumped the tank. In the 20 years they own the house, they never pumped it. And they pumped it and certified it and everything was good. There's other ones that haven't been as lucky. So if they're metal and they're more than like 15 years old, they're pretty much always done. Because the metal just rusts and then collapses. If they're brick line or anything like that, they're usually pretty done at that point. Okay, but now everything you put in brand new is all plastic. It's all like big, thick plastic. So, yes.
Did you skip over discoloration? Can you explain?
What?
Discoloration.
Discoloration? Okay. It is important. You're right. One quick note on septic too. If there's a septic system, like where the septic system is, and there's a 30-foot tree anywhere near it, within like 10 feet of it, I promise you that tree is living large on that tank. Okay, like it's the roots go right through it. Trees absolutely love what they exactly. All right, surface discoloration. What do we think surface discoloration is? It's a 4-letter word. It rhymes with gold, but it's not gold. And it's not mold. It is discoloration. Okay? Mold is a very specific type of thing that a certified mold expert is certified to determine if it's mold. Your painter, your eyes, you are not certified mold inspectors. Okay? Unless there is a certified mold inspector out there saying that that's mold, it is never mold, it is discoloration. Okay? And make sure your contractors know that. So when they tell you, hey, I think there's over there, it's, hey, we got some discoloration here. Okay? Same thing with asbestos. Okay? We call it asbestos. But just so you guys know, with asbestos, you can, as long as you're not disturbing it, okay, you can paint over it, you can box it in, okay? You just have to disclose later that it exists in home, and a lot of these old houses already do. But as long as you're not disturbing it, if you're going to tear down the ceiling or tear up the tile floor, that is asbestos, then you have problems. Okay, just don't disturb it. Okay, if you're in a house that has an old like ventilation pipe, you can leave it there. Just disconnect it. Okay, and leave it there. All right.
What do you do when you come across asbestos flooring?
The same thing I do with all my flooring. I put a layer of vinyl right over the top of it, and it gets like a thick layer of glue, and it encases everything from asbestos to cat pee and everything else. Okay.
You teaching the wavy gravy system.
You know what's funny? I had my painter was like, "Whoever told you that's a quack." And I was like, "Yeah, but if you think about it, I think it works. Like, I mean, you seal in the little cracks," and he's like, "Yeah, but it would take like, a year for the paint to dry all the way through." And I'm like, "I don't know." So, and I think it's a good idea. But you do that. Right? Wavy gravy is Andy's method of taking like old, either old paint or reject paint from Home Depot, pouring it on the floor and like squeegeeing it so it gets into all the little cracks and crevices and seals any smells. Okay. Really, if depending on the flooring, if you're gonna put carpet over it, I think it'll work really well. If you're gonna put vinyl over it, anyways, all we've been doing is just spraying paint and then putting vinyl because the glue basically seals it. So, but another method depending on what kind of flooring you're putting down. Okay. And every once in a while, okay, I had a house. Every once in a while, stuff gets away from you. Okay, it's going to be part of the job. It's going to be part of the deal. No matter how much you go into these things and how much you inspect, something's going to get away from you. And every once in a while, a great 1 out of 150, once in a while, you're going to miss an entire floor. Okay, with a whole room in it that has a lot of discoloration and a little bit of a sad fan that may or may not have been from a small fire. Okay? In my defense, this house, when you were at the very bottom and the deck was falling off of it, and you looked up, it looked like it was like 5 stories tall at that point. Okay? I couldn't go downstairs because the seller said that their dad was sleeping or whatever. And I had from a certified home inspector, I had a full report on the house. He missed it too. Okay, whole floor. So when I bought the house, the first thing I did was go down to the bottom floor, expecting these big French doors to open up, and there was just a bay window. And I was like, "Where's the French doors?" And so, long story short, there was another layer there that when you're looking up from the house going like this, it was, I guess, easy to miss by not only myself, and the seller definitely didn't tell me about it. I wonder why. And that was again, that would have been why I should ask for $30,000 off, because that actually ended up costing another $20,000 to fix that room. Okay, it ended up being a whole apartment. It was a bathroom down there, little kitchen, everything. So, but it had some kind of flash fire that they didn't disclose anywhere. They didn't have to. I was buying it as is. That's the risk of being an investor. But again, that was actually one of the reasons I wanted to keep the house, because it was a surprise multi-unit. So, but anyways, so sometimes it's correctable. Sometimes that could have been a lot worse. Yeah, that could have been a lot worse. Okay, I'm lucky that was just a kind of a flash thing. Just got really hot and melted the drywall a little bit. The studs and everything were not affected. Okay, they all looked great. But if that fire had gone a little longer and actually done some structural damage, that would have been a lot more than $20,000. Okay, so make sure you are doing your inspections thoroughly. Okay, strategies for success, especially if you're new. If you are brand new and the worst that happens to you is that you break even, that's a win. Okay, especially on your first few. Maybe you lost a little bit on the time, but hopefully you learned a lot on that one. Okay, but if you didn't lose money, good. Okay, don't go for absolute top dollar, especially, again, this is mostly for new people. If your comps are telling you 500,000 and you got a few and you're not sure, and it's safer bet's 480, go for the 480. Okay, removing is cheaper than rebuilding. Okay, so if you can at all reface stuff or fix stuff, try and do it to an extent. Just get used to it. Most of the money is going to go where people aren't going to see it, and they're going to walk in afterwards and say, "Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you fix that? Or why'd you do it that way? Like, why didn't you do this?" Well, because they didn't see the $20,000 worth of drywall you had to put in just to get it back to livable. Okay, just accept it, honestly. Like, and I'm guilty of it too. I'll walk into people's flips and I'm like, "Oh, why did I do that?" And I gotta remind myself, there's probably a reason, you know. Again, don't go exploring, and you never, ever, 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 unless it was already done and you already know about it, you never, ever, ever, ever gut the place. Okay, you never strip all the walls unless you want to go finding stuff that you don't want to find. Don't gut it. Okay? If you do gut it, be prepared that you are going to have to do everything at that point. Okay? And again, you are not Joanna Gaines. This is not your forever house. Okay? You are doing this for a profit. Okay? If you try and make this thing like how you want it, and how your perfect home, and you would like it if, you know, there was a pot filler on the stove and all kinds of tile backsplashes and multicolored accent walls, and you're throwing away money. Okay? At least at this level, okay? At this level, the 500,000, the starter home level. You go into a higher level bracket, or you're trying to turnkey Airbnbs for people or whatever, that's a different story, okay? I'm talking about the basic entry-level homes, okay? And again, just leave everything you can get away with, okay? If it's in good shape, paint it. Everything doesn't have to be brand new. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? So some examples of that. Removing is cheaper than rebuilding, again, for this house. So this deck was actually really nice at one point, okay? They spent a lot of money on that deck. What they failed at the end was that they put plywood, actually like particle CDX, on top of, instead of, all they needed to do on this deck, I don't know if they ran out of money or what, I never got the story. But they just needed to finish it off with actual wood planks, and this deck would have made it. It would have just been, maybe a little bit of fixing and repainting. Okay, but they put CDX, 4x8 sheets of CDX on top of the deck instead of finishing it with planks. And then they painted it. And that paint probably lasted maybe a couple years, probably less, and then acted like a sponge and just held all the moisture and everything and just rotted out the deck. So you can see that it's just rotting everywhere, and it rotted all the beams and everything, all the cross members, everything like that too. Okay, so at a certain point, this house was going to sell for what it was going to sell for, no matter if it had a deck or not. Okay, and the other thing about this was weird, is that this house backed up to the National Forest. There were no neighbors behind this house, but they chose to build a deck on the front of the house facing all the neighbors' houses. And so if I was going to rebuild a deck, I would have rebuilt it on the back of the house, but somebody else could pay for that. It didn't need it. Okay, so what we did, we tore down, we demoed the deck, and then we just built the staircase straight to the front door. Okay, that staircase was still $8,000. Okay, the whole deck would have been about 16, about double. Okay, so, and this house sold, we got an offer, I think the first week it was on the market. So, did that. Okay, paint and upgrade when possible. Every single one of these cabinets you're looking at is painted. None of those are brand new. Okay? And then a lot of them, so like this one we saved the countertop. This one, that's a new countertop, that's a new countertop, that's a new countertop. And that one was as is. This was just really, really dirty. And so we just cleaned that one. Okay, we cleaned it, we put in a new stove, new dishwasher. Okay? That was a flip. Okay, so appliances go a long way to, like if you have iffy cabinets, put a really nice stove in. Yeah. Spend like $200 more on the nicer stove instead of the basic one. Same with the dishwasher. Like it's $600 for the basic stainless dishwasher. It's like $700 for one that doesn't have all the buttons on the front and looks a little bit nicer. Like if you gotta make your kitchen pop a little bit, just put in nicer appliances. Okay? Somebody have a question?
What kind of countertops do you put in that?
Those are all granite. Every single one of those. I have been more and more, just especially in mobile homes, I've just been refinishing the countertops. The Formica countertops can be refinished, reglazed for about $300 to $400 on a $130,000, $180,000 mobile home or less. That's plenty. They don't need granite countertops, the quartz countertops. Okay, the flips, I'm still doing, and rentals, I'm still doing quartz. If I have to replace the countertops, I'll do quartz. Okay, and those are usually like, I still stick though, I stick to like the $400 sheets, and I'll maybe spend, I don't know, $1,500 on countertops. Okay. And then if you have cabinets, like if you're leaving them wood, this stuff is great. Restore a finish, okay? You could spend a lot of money on having them sanded and refinished and what's the word I'm looking for here?
Resurface.
Not restained.
Resurface.
Yeah, refaced. I don't know. It's the gel coat that's on it. It's not gel coat. I grew up in a cabinet shop. My father would be ashamed right now. Anyways, it's gonna pop. The veneer, the varnish. Sorry, revarnished. Okay, so the varnish that goes on the countertop. Okay, if it's still and it's not just completely just destroyed by water. Okay, you can use this stuff, and it does a really, really good job of bringing that shine back. Okay, no, saved. Lowe's Home Depot cabinets. If you can't save the cabinets, I do not ever order custom cabinets. Or I bought a rental, the first one in Crestline that I bought. This guy spent so much money on things that he lost a lot of money selling it to me. He had 4-inch baseboards and crown molding everywhere, and glass closet doors, and but he had custom cabinets. He was flipping it. He had custom cabinets, and the designer's signature was inside the drawer. And I was just like, they're gorgeous. They got nice soft close, and they're really thick and heavy, and they're gorgeous. But you don't need it. Okay. Home Depot, Lowe's, and they're even getting pricier. That's why I've been saving cabinets, painting them, saving countertops, painting them, because these cabinets are getting expensive. What's up, Denise?
Have you ever tried the switch out the cabinet door? I see a lot of.
Just the refacing?
Yeah.
I have not, and that's probably because my painter that usually the only one that I trust to actually paint cabinets, does it so well that I haven't had to do that. Usually if there's like one cabinet or two cabinets that are bad, we've even just taken the doors off and just leaving them. I've done a lot of recently, because dishwashers have gotten so stupidly expensive. It's like, for a basic dishwasher now, it's like $700 by the time you get the parts and everything like that. And so we've just, especially in mobile homes, actually in all of them really, you take the dishwasher out and just add a shelf and not replace the dishwasher. And so far it hasn't made a difference. So these right here are the Home Depots. These right here are Lowe's. Okay, Lowe's shaker cabinets I think look a lot better than Home Depot's. Home Depot does have a shaker cabinet now, but up close, I think they don't look as good. They're like wrapped in like plastic almost, like and you can see like the dimples on it. For me, it's just it doesn't. I used them one time and I was like, yeah, for the price, cost, and all that, like I still like Lowe's cabinets better. But and if it's really, really low end, you don't even have to put uppers. Okay, and uppers will save you a lot of money. Okay, my guy charges me $150 a cabinet to hang them. Okay.
Screws is $150.
Yep. Again, if you want them straight, you will notice if you look around. Okay, this broom is not straight. Okay, if you guys want to count the blocks over here. Okay, you see that? You see how there's only that little skinny one right there, and then behind there you see the whole block. Okay, if you look across the ceiling, and if you've got a measuring tape out right there, I guarantee you this is about a foot shorter than back there. Okay? Did you notice that before I pointed it out?
No.
That's why I pay that painter $150 a cabinet. Because my other installers that have hung cabinets, instead of making them straight, would follow that line or follow the ceiling. And then all of a sudden the cabinets are like this. And you're like, why did you do it that way though? That's what the ceiling did. I'm like, Again, assume nothing. Okay, I don't even have that picture. I gotta go find that picture. Same installer, weird. Anyways, you can skip the uppers. These little pipe shelf things are like $50. Okay, they look really nice once they're in, or whatever shelf you like. Okay, a lot cheaper. Also, this was when I let the contractor go, I said go grab a 18-inch base cabinet. If you want to spend the money on drawers, be my guest. But it's not going to change how much people pay for the house. Okay, that drawer cabinet's like $380. The one that's just the single door and the cabinet is like $120, $30 less. Okay, it might even be more. So we generally don't do drawer lowers. Okay, and that range hood, I think at one time it was like $150. Okay, it's probably gone up. I've actually had to, because I've been saving all the cabinets recently, I haven't torn anything out in a long time to not do uppers. So, what's that? The shelves were just Amazon. Yeah, I still have one in a box somewhere that's going up in a rental. So, they work. Same with the bathrooms. Okay, you'll see. I just keep doing this. Do the same stuff. Okay, Home Depot specials. Okay, you're not anything in stock. Trust me, if it doesn't matter the price point up to a certain point, that these in-stock cabinets, okay, just use them. If you're ordering $500-$600 vanities off Amazon, you're just throwing money away. Yes, Anthony.
So since you tend to do the same thing over and over again, do you like save rolls of flooring? Do you have flooring just saved? So that
At one point I did. Before we switched to vinyl, yeah, I would have extra tile and all that.
I mean, like
The vinyl is just a company. It's just a flooring company.
okay.
So I use the same flooring company. If they've done, I don't know, probably 80 of our houses at this point. They just come in, I point, they say, and they install it. So we used to use this tile a lot. At some point, my contractors have gotten, more expensive over the years. So we've started kind of dialing things back. Things used to be, for example, like he used to do tile for the same price as putting in a new surround. Okay, well that's changed. He lost his tile guy, that was cheap. So now his tile guy charges more, he charges me more. So now it's turned around where we were used to do tile everywhere because it looked nicer for the same price. Now we do surrounds, okay? But for the most part, if I do tile, it's always Subway. I change the grout every once in a while. Sometimes the styles change of the cabinets, but they're all Home Depot, Lowe's. It just kind of depends on what they have in stock, okay? If it's the gray one that's just flat, okay, or it's the gray one that has lines, if one of them's in stock and one of them's out of stock, I don't care. I get whatever's in stock. I don't want to wait for anything. Once the guys are ready to install it, take it, okay? Because if they wait a week for something to come in stock and then it doesn't come, or it comes and it's damaged, you're just rolling the dice on everything. Just get what you can as soon as possible. Same with the lights. Okay, same light, same mirror, same faucet, everything. It's real easy if you ever end up with an extra one or you need a part out of something, just keep using the same stuff. Okay, and again, I did have a picture of it. So that was the one I was talking about earlier. That is how we sold the house. That is how they sold it like 2 or 3 years later. Okay? They sold our stainless thing. They put up this ugly backsplash. They moved these, and then they put in a different floor, and you could see all the cord around. They just went right on top of this. So, right? So I just go Spartan with everything. Okay, just super simple, super clean, and just let them do what they want. They also painted the walls. They made it a lot darker, and painted a blue over here. I don't even know. Maybe it's the same color. It's just a light. I can't tell. My point is don't rack your brain on what you're going to paint the damn thing. Just paint it white or really light gray. Everyone's going to love it, and they'll make it how they want to do it. Okay? They even changed. I think they changed my light. I know that's the same one. So, yeah, that was the MLS picture when I noticed they relisted it years later.
So what's that Q-port cabinet?
That right there? I thought it was a water line, but the fridge is over here, so I actually don't know. They added that. There might have been an outlet back there. I don't know.
It's the black thing next to the pink thing.
Yeah, maybe there's something over here that they gotta, I don't know. But, you know, that floor, you know where this house is? Apple Valley. Apple Valley. We probably spent $6 a square foot on that flooring. Okay? Which is cheap. That's why now we spend $3.50 a square foot and put in vinyl. Okay? Because you can go right on top of it, and it's nice and squishy. Everybody thinks it's laminate anyways. So it's great. Okay? That is vinyl. Right there. Okay? Can you tell the difference between that and that?
No.
Just looking at it?
No. Even working on it. It even has the
Yeah. It even has the grooves on it. It's great stuff. Okay? And so every once in a while, a 350 installed a square foot. It's fantastic. And then every once in a while, you can even skip the knobs. Okay? This is in a mobile home on land in Apple Valley also. This mobile home had no business having a all brand new kitchen installed. Okay? But we didn't have a choice because the cabinets were absolutely destroyed. Okay? And there was no saving them. I mean, they literally were like made of particle board and they were melting, like just disintegrating. And then when we tore it off, the only reason I still did uppers is because this wall behind here was so jacked up, and I didn't trust the crew that was on this to actually fix the wall properly to not do uppers. So I did uppers instead and had them cover all of it. Okay? But it's still, at the very end, I said, you know what? If they want knobs, they can go pick their own knobs. Because maybe they don't like the cheap round ones that I'm going to put on. Maybe they want to get nice, 4-inch poles or something. Okay? Same thing. We didn't do same with this one. We didn't do stainless, and that is just those are Lowe's cabinets. That is just Formica countertops and a very, very basic stove. Again, this one had no business getting a brand new kitchen, but it got lucky. Okay? And we threw in the drawers. Exactly. So, all right. Prioritizing repairs. Again, roof, HVAC foundation. That's going to be your number one. Septic, a small number 2 behind it. You guys want to find this stuff out sooner rather than later. I'm on the camp that I would rather know at the beginning of the project if I'm going to have to replace the septic or have to do the HVAC or something like that, so I don't put that money elsewhere. Okay? Some people will just do all of it and then roll the dice on if the septic's going to pass at the end. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Okay? I pretty much put a new roof on everything. I fix, replace all the HVAC. If I need to, septics, get all that. Like, I want the big ticket stuff that's going to kill me in an inspection later. I want that out of the way. Okay? I'll roll the dice on some soft, parts of the floor or, other stuff. But for the most part, I'm fixing all that. Okay? Electrical. If you're doing FHA, you have to have GFIs within 6 feet of any water source. Okay? You're going to get flagged on that every time if you don't. Okay? Plumbing, obvious leaks. If it's not leaking, don't touch it. Okay? There's nothing wrong with copper that is, looks like terrible if it's not leaking. Okay? And be careful what you mess with too. I mean, there might be a valve somewhere that works great and it just stays open, but you close it and disconnect it a few times, it starts getting worn out. Just be gentle on stuff. Okay? Again, kitchen, baths, you start with the kitchen. Okay? You start with the kitchen, we work our way back. If you have a limited budget, do the kitchen. Save on the bathrooms. Don't make the bathrooms gorgeous and then have a shitty kitchen. Okay? Or in reverse too, like if you have a master bathroom that, make that nice before you make the laundry room super nice. Okay? If you can. Anyways. Flooring, again, sheet vinyl and carpet. Pretty much we're doing from most, I'd say 90% of them, I do vinyl on the floor and the common areas and the kitchen, bathrooms, all that, and carpet in the bedrooms. Okay, save a little bit of money on carpet in the bedrooms. A lot of people like carpet in the bedrooms. Okay, a lot of people just hate carpet. Okay, if they hate carpet, they're welcome to put their own flooring in after they buy the house. Okay? Do I do carpet on my rentals? If I can avoid it, no, I do not. I have two where I was concerned about noise transferring to the ceiling and whatnot that I put carpet in. But for the most part, everything's just hard vinyl flooring. And if they tear it or whatever, you can kind of put it back together. Ideally, if I had the money and if I do someday replace them, it would probably be with hard tile. I would just do something very, very hard. Okay? So, do you have a question, Chris? Or something to add? I thought your hand went up, sorry. Fixtures, pretty much with all the fixtures. So, I'm going to tell a story. My dad was flipping his house, okay? And he told me I almost died. He calls me up and he was excited. He's like, we just bought all the fixtures for the house. And I'm like, how much did you spend? They went to some fancy place in Hollywood or something. And he spent $5,000. $5,000 on the fixtures, for one bathroom. That wasn't even the whole thing. And I literally was like, what? And he's like, oh, well, the buyers appreciate it. I'm like, yeah, my wallet wouldn't. But, so you don't have to do that, okay? Like, if you're a rental, I'm not going to go deep into the fixtures, but some of them they're made a lot better if you buy them elsewhere and you spend a lot of money on them, okay? Where they're actually not plastic, not 90% plastic. Pretty much everything you buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, there's one small part of it, the valve, that's still metal. Everything else is plastic, okay? It just is what it is. I've been putting these things, the same faucets and everywhere. I've had one fail, and it was in my own house where the hot water stopped working. Okay, it would you turn it on and then you try and turn it off and it would just stay on. And then you do it a couple more times and it would turn itself off. So, but for the most part, I just use the one step up or even the contractor grade, just the basic faucets, guys. Like if you're putting in a new shower tree, all that stuff. If you want to spend $500 on the super high-end Moen that they sell, it's really not that different from the Glacier Bay stuff that's a quarter of the price. Okay, at least for your flips. Yes, Andy.
Marietta Habitat stocks an interesting assortment.
Marietta Habitat.
Yeah.
For plumbing? There's a big plumbing section?
Yeah.
Okay. You can check it out. The other thing too, just keep in mind, tell your guys, just a quick tip. Have them make sure that the valve is in the box when they pick it up.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. The people steal them. It's one of the number one stolen items at Home Depot is they steal the valves out of the box. Okay? Or there's pieces missing or parts missing. So if a box looks messed with or it doesn't have the straps on it, make sure just tell them, just a heads up. Because it's just, all it is, you think they would know at this point, but they got 1,000 other things they're thinking about. It's just going to delay your project. So I always tell them, hey, if they're new and they don't know and they haven't worked for me before, hey, make sure you check the box. Because those valves are always missing. Okay? Yep.
How are you conveying what you want purchased? Are you going to Home Depot and buying it? Or you
Depends on the crew.
Okay.
Depends on the crew.
And then if you're going to the crew, do you have a spreadsheet or are you using the app? How are you?
If I have, depending on, do I use a spreadsheet or an app?
Yeah.
So one of the crews that, so I usually just buy all the finished material. Okay, they're usually on all the rough stuff. Okay, so anything that you don't see behind the wall, rough plumbing, rough electrical, that's usually all on them. Okay, if it is a crew that I'm ordering for, it's usually because that crew's awesome at what they do, and that's the only reason I'm ordering stuff for them, because I want them focused on doing a good job everywhere else. The crew that I don't pick out things is usually on projects where I don't really care. They know to buy the cheap vanity. They know to buy the cheap faucet. They know to buy the whatever. And they're just going and phone sailing me at Home Depot. Okay, so they go shop and they pick it out. The other crew that is usually on nicer projects where I'm ordering stuff is, like I said, for a lot of these is I'm ordering the same vanity, the same thing. I mean, some of them I have the SKUs memorized at this point, and I just type it in. I don't really have a list. I did for a little while. I made this whole Excel sheet because I was trying to get that crew to shop also, and that just failed miserably. Everybody was upset, and I just let that one go. Okay, but yeah, if it's a new crew and I'm saying, and I'm ordering the faucet, and there's still crews that every once in a while I will shop for because I don't fully trust them yet, and every once in a while I don't mind shopping. So, Sharon?
So would you say Moen is
opposite. But honestly, nowadays they're all crap. So they're all probably made in the same factory. They just put in China, and they just put a different stamp on them. So, yeah. So, because I mean, people used to tell me to buy, buy Moen or buy this because they were all brass or all metal, and if you take them out of the box and look at them, they honestly look exactly the same. Do you have a question, Ebony?
Well, I was just gonna say, it was just a tip, if you ever have to have permits full during, your projects, make sure the permits are full in your name in case something goes wrong with the contractor.
Pull the permits in your name instead of the contractor's name?
Yes. That way, if anything goes wrong, you already have the permits and don't have to come off the property again for them.
Depends on how many you're doing, but
Right.
because you can only, technically you're only, if, as an owner builder, you're only supposed to do a certain, unless you're a contractor also. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up here. There's only a couple more. Inspection to sell tips. So again, if you're gonna do an FHA loan, especially, you cannot have chipping or peeling paint anywhere. So prioritize that, and I do mean anywhere. In the ceiling and the roof, if there's any peeling paint, that FHA inspector is gonna find it. Okay, so make sure that's all taken care of. You will have to do Section 1 clearance, and the lender will see it on an FHA loan. The water heater, make sure it's strapped and there's actually a proper blow-off valve. Yes, Andy?
And the shut-off valve is where you can reach it without a ladder.
And the shut-off valve has to be where you can reach it without a ladder?
Yeah, that's a common problem with
On water heaters?
mobile homes. It's way
Oh,
up at the top.
yeah, shoot, I haven't run into that, yeah.
No, I replaced dozens of those stupid.
Quick note too, that little stupid pipe that they sell for $6 at Home Depot is not legal. Okay, it needs to be real copper, or it needs to be CPVC.
It does
Okay.
the water heater blow up on it.
That little $6 one they sell?
Yeah.
Every time one of my guys buys one of those things and tries to put it on there, it says PVC on it. And it gets, I told everyone, I haven't actually let one go on a job in years because the inspectors kept flagging it. So I tell them to do copper, or it's gotta be copper for a certain amount, and then you can PEX the rest of it out. Just keep it in mind. GFI outlets, again, if you're worried about the GFI outlets and they don't say the little, because GFI outlets can be linked, okay? They don't have to be the one with the push button on it. They can be linked to other outlets. If you have one where it's like GFI protected, you get these little labels off Amazon, you can stick them on there. It helps the inspector out, okay? Just don't stick them on there if it's not actually protected, okay? Structural foundation issues, more common on VA and USDA where they get under the house and they'll look. Make sure your house isn't sitting on tree trunks before you sell it and get appraisal. We did that. I didn't know, never been under the house. And then the appraiser came out and was like, yeah, this foundation's not gonna fly, it was literal tree trunks. So, and I've been there for 100 years, Luckily it was a small house, we just jacked it up and attached the tree trunks to some cement. So, drains under the sink must be hard piped. Okay, that flex pipe that they sell at Home Depot is also illegal. Okay, we get called out for that all the time. Okay, well we used to, but anyways, paint. There's some paint stuff there if you guys want to take a picture. That's what we're using. I've been using Frost 57 for white for years. Same with silver polish if you want a little gray. My contractor told I haven't used it yet, but Sherwin-Williams is Worldly Gray. Is working really well for him on his projects. Gray and white cabinets, vanities from Lowe's. This 2-pack flush mounts from Home Depot. I've probably, paid someone's car payment at the company that makes them. We've used them so many times, okay? And they just get swapped out. They have color changing lights on them. You can set them to whatever temperature you want. The Glacier Bay Arnett faucets, I think that's old, sorry. But the Glacier Bay faucets in general, they've gone up a lot, but they're still cheaper than the other stuff. And if you want, you can pay a designer to put a package together for you and actually do like a list and SKUs and give you all that stuff. If you want, that's always an option, okay? And then exterior paint, same thing. Use a lot of the same colors over and over again. Silver Clouds has always been a popular one. Blackjack is a very, very dark gray that people really like. That's that one right there is Blackjack. That's silver polish up there. Pewter green is like a darker green. And then Snowfall White is just the white one we use. And no matter what I do, unless it's Blackjack, we use Sherwin-Williams Whisper as a trim on everything. It looks great. with everything. It doesn't matter. It's a slightly off-white. It is Dunn Edwards Whisper, not Whisper White. Whisper White is a different color. Okay? So I got her. And then exterior paint. These are 2 new ones we just did in Paris because the park was being picky and didn't like our other 2 colors. And then they approved ones that were literally like a tiny shade different. I was like, oh my God. So Antique Jade is that one. It's a little bit lighter than that green one right there. And then Aegean Sky is kind of like a baby blue that I thought turned out pretty nice. And then there was another one too that I didn't have a picture of, so I didn't throw it on there. And then, like I said, I didn't realize I had this much left on the presentation. Sorry, I'll hurry it up. What gets you into trouble is assuming. Okay, so like if I was going to tell you, you guys play contractor, okay, or I'll play contractor. You guys play contractor, okay. So if I was going to pay you to put in a new door, okay, like a new just regular bedroom door, okay, would you assume that I would want a handle on that door? Anybody not assume that? Okay, stop assuming that. Okay, make sure you say, and I want the handle on it. Okay, depending on the crew, you might even have to say, and I want hinges. Okay, and I want to paint it. Okay, there's a lot of other assumptions. Oh man, we're gonna do this one. Okay, if I was, again, you're the contractor, okay, and I said, hey, I want you to paint this house, okay? Which color are you going to paint this house? Who says Sonoran Desert? Okay. Who says off-white?
Well, the trim.
Okay. The trim. Who says poncho? Who says standing ovation? Why do you say standing ovation?
Well, I always thought the grays were kind of like the new beige.
No, I don't mean what you prefer. I mean, like if I handed you this and I said, here's what I want you to paint this house, which color are you painting it?
Based on that picture. Based on that picture.
It's for the outside. The inside's already painted.
My contractor would say X marks the spot.
X marks the spot. Okay? I assumed, okay, when I put an X through something, that means no. No, I don't want these. No. Okay? And I want the trim there. Can we agree on trim? Can we at least agree on trim? Okay, so we're going to agree that I'm going to write something next to the one that I want. Okay? And when you're painting a house, generally, you paint the trim, and then what do you call the big part? The body. Okay, does the body have an X through it? No. No, but X marks the spot, so I get, that's what color the house ended up. And it's not even looks like the other color, right? So that's it on the thing. Well, it turns out, okay, so you guys, here's some advice, okay? You always test your paint colors, okay? It will look nothing like it does on that card at Home Depot with their fluorescent lights and a different thing what it's going to look like with the surface of the sun pointed at it in the middle of the desert. That's why it ended up more purple. Now, the funny thing is I was on a cruise ship in the Bahamas when he sent me this picture. And I was like, what? I mean, I was fuming. And that is standing ovation. That's what I'm saying. It looks a lot different than that little swatch when you actually put it on a house in the desert surrounded by browns and greens and a lot of light on it. So always test your colors. Okay, that will never look the same way on that swatch or on your computer screen as it will in person. Okay, and you will be very, very, and even if you have seen that color on a different house in a different area. Okay, I didn't have an example of it here, but I put a green on a house in the mountains that looked decent. Like it wasn't my favorite color in the world, but it looked okay, surrounded by other green that was kind of muting it. But when I took it down to the desert and put it on there, that green was very bright. It was like, it felt like that, okay? Like with that much light on it and without anything else around it that was green, it became very, very green, okay? So again, assume nothing, test your colors. Turns out, people like purple houses in the desert. That house had 9 offers on it the first weekend. So the contractor got lucky because I was going to make him repaint it. So, and then I said, you know what? I don't hate it. I'm just confused on how it happened. But like I said, it sold quickly. We made a grip on that one. That was a great project. That was the one that house is that kitchen. So, and we got that house for 90. Would I use standing ovation again? Maybe in the desert on a mobile home. You know, there was a detached garage that was like half the size of the house that was also that color. So, but yeah, we picked that up for like 90. We put like 60 into it, and we sold it for $265, I think. Yeah. So.
That was 5 acres, though, wasn't it?
I think it was less. Maybe it was 5. It was a big lot. We had to do everything. I mean, we did septic. We did everything. Anyways, also knob placement. Okay, I always thought there was a pretty standard place to put knobs. Okay, turns out I was wrong because apparently, like in the '60s, they put stuff in the middle, and that contractor that did that job decided not to ask and assumed that I wanted it. I'm a child of the '60s apparently, and I want it so high up here on the uppers that I don't even think my 5-foot tall mom could reach that. Did we ever try that? No, I don't think you could. I'm pretty sure because you were a listing agent. So, anyways, so make sure you say where you want your knobs. It's happened. It's happened more than once with different contractors. A lot of them, like sometimes. What was the other one that was really bad? I think there was like we did poles, and instead of putting it in the center, they put them like up here on all the poles, like. Yeah, so it just did not look right. Okay, moving on. This picture isn't that great, but right here is where the fridge is supposed to go. Okay, and we measured it for a very literally we got to get a fridge in here. This is the only place in the unit that's this fridge is going to fit. Okay, so I assumed. What would you assume? That he'd make this like this, right? Or at least not a 7-8 inch overhang, whatever that ended up being. It looks shorter in this picture. I promise you, it's like this when you're looking straight on it. So, anyways, end of the project. Guy's already going way too long on the project. They get tired, they get frustrated, they just want to get out, and that's what happens. Okay, that is the number one problem you will run into with your contractors when they're taking too long. Is they start cutting corners at the end. And that, unfortunately, is what is the worst time to do it because that's what everybody sees. All your buyers see the end. They don't see that, he did this and put the extra love into this somewhere else. They see the end product. Okay?
Maybe you thought you were going to put a mini fridge in there.
Yep. Also, which I just forgot about until I saw this, I literally bought this burner set. It's like this, 1, 2. Okay, it's 2 burners. It's like this big. Okay, I bought that specifically so that it would be able to turn this way, so it could go right here, so they would have some countertop space here. So instead, he turned it this way, and I'm not joking you. There's another whole, the width of this right here. You can put a whole nother one behind there. That's where all the countertop space is, right? So you had to reach over the burner to whatever, and literally killed all the countertop space. Maybe he realized that, and that's why he's like, oh, I made to give him some space over there. I don't know. Okay, but again, I just assumed that if you're looking at this thing, that you would want to have some counter space, and you'd want it. So apparently, again, I've learned, don't assume. Okay. Also, this is what kind of spurred this whole thing. Okay. All of this drywall that you're looking at in the ceiling, right here, that is all fresh, brand new drywall.
What?
Really?
No way.
Okay? And when I discussed this with the contractor, I didn't specify that needed some caulking. or that it wasn't included. I don't know, whatever bullshit excuse I got. Okay? I don't think, and in my defense, and in all your defenses, when you put when the finish guy, the guy who's hanging the drywall is also the finish guy, if you have to specify that you don't want to see the drywall tape on the end product, fire him. Okay? Simple as that. Okay? The only reason I didn't fire him on the spot when I saw that is because I trusted, because he'd worked for me before, that he was going to fix it before he told me that was the finished product. Okay? Also, what's that?
What did he say when you explained to him that that was not the finished product? Yeah.
He said that he still probably thinks it looks great to this day. He never admitted that this was terrible. Also you guys can see here is, so this is, the body of this was painted before they did the ceiling. Okay? So then they went back and touched up the trim, I think with a different paint. I still don't think that's the actual paint that I bought. And you see this band literally like this around the entire trailer. Okay? They also, like on that same ceiling, okay, so sprayed texture or slop and mud all around or whatever. I assume that they would clean it before they painted over it. Okay? Again, I'm kind of going into stuff that you can assume fairly that it would be done properly. And if this is the finished product you get, and it's still in your wheelhouse to fire them. If you still owe them money, don't pay. Okay? This is a licensed contractor, professional painter in his thing. This over here, okay, so we didn't specify to paint the closets, okay? Normally I don't have to. If we're painting the entire house, literally from ceiling to floor, actually painting the floor, I don't have to usually qualify that you have to paint the inside of the closet, okay? Fair enough. I didn't say you had to paint the inside of the closet. Whatever. But I'm going to assume if you start painting the inside of the closet, that you're going to finish it. Right? Anybody disagree?
Well, you should just be thankful you didn't paint over the data plate like most of them do.
Right? That I could have lived with if we would have kept going around it. His response to this, I did you a favor. It looks better than it did. You should have seen the bottom of this closet before I did that. And that's what I knew. I was like, there's gonna be no saving this. There should be Ryan. There should be a bar there for the front computer.
Yes.
It says front PC.
Absolutely.
Or stage PC.
Yep.
Go ahead and turn that up. So, before I show you guys this quick video, so some of the mistakes that you saw in these other videos, I'll show you the video. So this is a different contractor. I brought in a different crew who's worked for me in the past also, and this is what he had to say about this paint job.
Every time we place a piece, we have to do the whole shit, no?
And what about, like, well, I know the answer here, but like when I ask you to, paint something,
You turn it down a little.
do I have to say?
No.
Okay, thank you. Like that's part of prep.
Yeah, it's part of the prep.
You prime once so it shows all the stuff.
Yeah, I like to cover everything first and then prime, but when you prime, everything stands out that you did it, that you missed.
Exactly.
And then you can go back and touch, mess with that and then come down and paint.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one contractor.
Walls and ceilings, two different colors?
No, it's all supposed to be the same color.
Say that one more time.
Yeah. I agree. So that was my other contractor saying this whole place needs to be repainted. Okay? And it just so happens that contractor is the one who did that. And that contractor, those of you who did Firefast the first time and went out to see Evan's duplex. Okay, and remember we pointed out a lot of the things. Okay, so these are not, look, every contractor's got their things, okay? These guys still work for me because they actually have learned that and take feedback and understand to get better, okay? That's why I still call them, okay? The other one's my neighbor, I'm good friends with, okay? So yes, even though I'm calling out some of their work and using it as examples, I still use these guys, okay? And that's how bad this paint job was. That ones that I've had to correct and do stuff with before were like, dude, this thing's screwed. Like, you gotta repaint this whole thing. And I knew. So when, again, this contractor had worked for me in the past. He had literally just saved my ass on a project just before this, like literally about 2-3 months ago. Big foundation problem on a house. I was getting bids anywhere between $30,000 and $80,000 to fix the foundation on this place. He did it for 17, and it was gorgeous. The foundation, the slab and everything that he poured, phenomenal. And then he came in and did this with the paint job, okay? With zero prep. I mean, I don't have time to show you guys, but there was, literally like every single picture that was ever hung in that house, the hole was still there. Even the nails and screws were still there in a lot of places. Okay, there was zero prep done to this house. And we had moisture problems from a leaky roof and heavy smokers. Okay, so this place should have been cleaned from top to bottom and primed with at least Kills Gold and probably the one that's even nicer than that. Okay, none of that happened. I bought them some primer. He was supposed to bring the primer. Okay, I bought all the paint, but I did bring some better primer. To be fair in his defense, we never really talked about the smoke damage, okay, because we were so focused on all of the water problems, okay? But at no point did he tell me, hey, I'm concerned that this is going to bleed through. At no point, I'm looking at all the prep and stuff that's not getting done. This took 3 months, okay? 3 months he had to be on this, and I was getting free space rent from the park for those 3 months. Now I'm not, so burned all that. In those 3 months is when my other crew did 7 mobile homes all at once in Paris. Less than 3 months. Okay, 2 weeks, like from literally like demo to finished listed. Okay, and the only reason again that I let it go that far is that I really trusted him to make it right and fix it, and that when I was pointing out these concerns as the project was going on, don't worry, I got it, I'm gonna fix it, blah, blah, blah. Until the very end, when that was the finished product, I told him I wasn't happy. I paid him for everything else. He did some subfloor work and some drywall and whatnot. Paid him for that, but for the balance of the paint, I said I'm not paying it. And to this day, he still feels probably that I should pay him for it. And there's absolutely no way in hell. And it's so bad that I do not even trust him to fix it, even if that was an option. So, do you have a question?
Yeah, how do you know when you can get away with not using a licensed contractor and using a licensed contractor?
How do you get away with using a licensed contractor and not a licensed contractor?
You're gonna save a lot of money if you don't use a licensed contractor.
I have a friend that uses licensed contractors and non-licensed contractors, and that friend tells me that some of his licensed guys do better work than the unlicensed guys, and it's kind of what you got going on, okay? But anything over a certain amount of dollar amount, you're supposed to use a licensed contractor in the state of California. You're not supposed to use handymen, okay? I have seen it myself that, some of the guys that other people's projects and whatnot, that some of the licensed guys, some of the unlicensed guys do better work than the licensed guys. So it's kind of a toss-up.
So since we're in the club, and you guys, we're all doing flips or whatever, why don't we take pictures of their work and like have it in a photo album in there with their cards,
Why don't we have a list of contractors ready to go for everybody to jump in? Because here's the key, okay?
They took they
Good work?
did good work. This person did good work for me. So it's your personal testimony.
So here's the 2 keys to being, 3 keys to being a successful flipping investor, or just in general. Okay, 1 is you can find deals. Okay, 2 is you can find money for those deals at a decent rate. And 3, which is the ultimate, is contractors. Okay? Your contractors and your money lenders and your ability to find deals is your gold. Okay? So, generally, people are a little protective of their contractors. Because if my contractors that know what they're doing, that I have spent blood, sweat, tears, money, lost money, teaching and learning how to work together with these contractors, that is literally like my lifeblood, really. So it's important to maintain those relationships, and it's not always as simple as recommending people either, because I don't actually recommend people anymore. Because every time that I've recommended not every time, but about 90% of the time when I've recommended somebody, they may work great for me, and me and them might have an understanding on how things work and how things go. But when he goes and has a conversation with you, that might not be the same understanding. And a lot of times it's not. And then you're looking at me going, dude, your guy just totally shit the bed. Like, what's the deal? Why would you have told me this guy was good? And I'm looking at you going, I don't know. He does, but it happens to me. So, you know what I mean? So I don't even recommend people anymore. Oh wow, there's a lot more to this slide. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. So I'm gonna skip over this stuff. So if you want the slide deck, ask me later. Okay. While we're on the topic of deals and contractors and whatnot. So this is something that somebody called me for, club member called me for about a year and a half ago. They were wanting an escrow company. Okay, they were the first deal they'd ever put together. They had it under contract, and they wanted to wholesale it. Okay, it was the smallest house in a big house neighborhood. We looked at the comps. I looked at the comps and told them that, hey, I wasn't really sure, because when a house is really small in a big house neighborhood, it kind of skews the comps, and none of the smaller houses had sold. A lot of the bigger houses had sold, so I kind of had an idea of where this house would fall, but I wasn't exactly sure. And they wanted a $50,000 wholesale fee. Okay, that's that right there. $50,000. Okay, to buy this contract from them. I gave them the option of staying in it. I could either write them a check, or they could stay in it with me, and I'd split it with them. Okay, so if they wanted to stay in it with me, I'd split whatever we made at the end. But I wasn't sure. Okay, they could either make more than $50,000, or they could make $50,000 today, or maybe they'd make $70,000 a few months from now. Who would take the $50,000 now? Probably. It's okay. It's okay. Who would want the 70 later? But it's not guaranteed. You can also make 30 later. What's that?
Who keep the house forever?
Who keep the house forever? Who keep the house forever? There you go. Right, I hadn't turned the tides on holding on to everything yet. So I ended up closing on it. I did write them the $50,000 check, and we ended up we put $15,000 into this house. Okay, we repainted all the walls. We repainted the kitchen. We hauled the hot tub out, over the 8-foot tall weeds, cut them all down. This guy just wanted out. He didn't want to deal with anything. He just wanted a certain amount of money in his pocket and get the hell out. That's all he wanted. So we gave it to him. We repainted everything. We ended up making, after everybody was paid, $91,000 on that. So they would have made 70. They would have made an extra 20 if they waited. Okay. So my point to that is, if you want me and my contractors, and you bring a deal, if you ever get a whiff of a deal or something like that, I am open to JVing, partnering up with anybody. So if you would just want to check, I can do that. If you want to stay in it and learn, I can do that too. Okay.
You'll learn a lot.
So Manny can vouch, I'm sure.
Yeah. You'll learn a lot.
You'll learn a lot.
All worth it.
I think the number one way to learn is doing it alongside somebody versus trying to sit in here and learn every single little detail along the way. Okay, so, but some people learn the hard way, and some people like learning the hard way. I learn the hard way a lot.
You kept the same linoleum?
What's that?
Same linoleum, isn't it?
What?
Same linoleum in the kitchen.
Same linoleum in the kitchen. No, that's tile. That? Yeah, no, we kept all the flooring. It was great. So, if you want to, if you ever need to get a hold of me, that is my contact info. You can scan that. It's got my number and everything on there. And then again, John Schaub, if you haven't are familiar with John Schaub, you want to learn more about finding deals. And I don't think he's going to go too much into flipping, but about finding deals and building a blueprint for financial freedom and all that kind of stuff. John is coming out and teaching a 2-day class. For those of you that are new and haven't heard about it yet, June 22nd, 23rd. If you're an IREC member, you get $135 off. And we got about 20 seats left. It'll be here. Okay? So that's in 10 days. It's coming fast. So John hasn't taught out here since 2019. And no guarantee that he's going to come back next year. Okay? And the last time he was out here, he was partnering with someone else too. He hasn't taught a solo class in a while. So don't miss him. He's one of the most well-known, most respected investors in the country. Win.
Rich, before you call an end to this, I got to toss something in. How many of you are familiar with comfort trailers? Have you seen mobile home trailers and such? Well, they've been around for a long time. We purchased the second year that they were producing them, and it had a very small bathroom in it. Okay, and it wasn't that big in those days, but that little tiny bathroom, there was room for a porta toilet that you had to take out and touch empty.
Mm-hmm.
But it had a doorknob on it, and it had a lock on the inside. Now the problem was that if he had gotten in there, which he was pretty good at doing those things, if he had gotten in there and locked the door, there was no way that you could get in. So I called the comfort company and told them, well, now if you look, you'll notice that most bathroom doors, they either have a key so you can get in from the outside in case somebody's walking inside, or they have a hole in the middle of the knob. Well, if you take an ice pick or long nail or something, you can push through that, and that will unlock it from the inside.
Okay.
And so that's the way that if you notice trailers, mobile homes now, I'm sure that you will probably find, if they're made by Comfort, that you'll find that they do have that type of a latch on there now, and it would be good for home phones too, home bathroom knobs, because little kids quite often get in and play around and they lock it.
That is true. I had a pack of a privacy knob in my garage because I have a bunch of like extras and whatnot, and I almost put it on a bathroom, and then I realized that I had used that pack to swap out so I didn't have a keyhole or anything on a different door so somebody couldn't lock it, and I almost still used it, and I was like, no, that's probably going to be a bad idea if somebody gets locked in. So good point. So make sure you put the right knobs on things. They make privacy knobs for a reason with the little hole that you can unlock, so that doesn't happen. Chris.
From your personal experience, are you cammering your sewers?
From personal experience, by cammering sewers?
For new people, you gotta check your drains.
Generally not. That is something I probably roll the dice on up in the mountains because there's a lot of them that are have been replaced, and a lot of them that are like old terracotta pipes that have roots and stuff and growing in them. Generally, if I had to add that cost to every flip that I did in the mountains, I haven't. I think it's not something that buyers usually ask for. At least maybe it's becoming more common. But I've really only seen, I want to say three buyers that actually requested that on a sewer. And I want to say 2 of them failed. So, but then that was generally just an agreement of some kind of credit because it was only like one small area. And I had one back up in my rental where the roots were growing in it and just balled up. And of course it was when I was in Ohio, and had to have an emergency replacement done. That was $6,000. That was an expensive trip.
Well, that one I just did, that you guys came out to, the seller told me it was on sewer.
Mm-hmm.
The tax record said it was on sewer.
Yep.
And I never asked for a bill.
Yeah.
Because the bill would have told me that they hadn't been paying any sewer. Turned out it was on septic. And I couldn't find the septic. So if I would have just done a drain inspection, I could have asked for probably a pretty big price reduction. I had to eat it.
Yeah, for sure.
I had,
For sure. And we've had the same thing.
yeah, for newer people.
You know, yeah, we've had the same thing similar. Well, not that specific scenario, but we've had a septic fail. This is why I started being in the camp of doing the septic inspection first, because we found out at the end when we were going to sell that we had two different houses, a septic fail. One of them we were able to, and they were close enough that we had to hook up to sewer. So one of them we ended up getting around it because the leach lines were still good. Or I can't remember which way it was, but half of the system was still good, so we were repairing it. We weren't putting in a new one. So we were able to get around it on that one. The other one we had to connect, and it ended up costing like $22,000 or something to connect to the sewer. And the sewer was literally like the front yard. You went over the gate, and the sewer was right there. The one that we got around, it was like 100 feet away, and it would have been like $80,000 to connect to the sewer. So he's absolutely correct.
I ended up having to hire a camera anyway.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't find the septic.
Yeah.
We couldn't find
So generally check your, it's part, it's, you can't always assume that just because the manholes are in the street that it's sewer. Okay, but you can assume if the manholes are in the street that if it is still on septic and you have a problem, you will most likely have to connect to sewer. Okay, that's generally like they don't let you, if it's usually a city thing. If they have spent the money in sewer, they want your dollars to pay for that sewer. They don't want you to be on your own septic. Okay, so yeah, I'd recommend getting your inspections, either camera it, or check that there's a sewer bill, like you said. That's you're probably. I mean, that was a unfortunate assumption. Most of the time, yeah, when they're saying it's sewer and everybody's saying it's sewer and you can see it all. I mean, you're generally okay, but every once in a while. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to check. So, all right. Yes.
Was it my mistake that the person on the video, the painter who did that
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One of those guys up there was the one who painted the house purple. So. But the difference, guys, between again, just take this for what it is. The difference between the contractor that you let go and the contractor that you give another shot. It's kind of like my email that I sent out, and I really thought this guy was gonna do that. I really did not expect to be left hanging with that bad of a. It was his attitude. Okay, it was his attitude. It wasn't like a holy crap, you're right. This looks awful. I'm gonna fix it. It was. This doesn't look that bad. Like what do you like? What's your problem? And whereas the one who painted it purple was like, oh my God, bro, I thought you wanted it this color. Like, I'll repaint it. Like, you want to buy the paint or we can split the paint or something. Like, I'll repaint it. But damn, bro, that's that's a lot of work. And I'm like, I know. That's why I just put an X through it. And, but, and I love the guy. But, that's why I called him when this one went sideways. I was like, he's not the best painter out there, but he will fix this, and we'll be fine, and we'll still sell it, and he takes direction, and we'll get it sold, and we'll still make money. It's okay.
Hey, the two guys that bought the purple house still love it.
And the people that bought the purple house loved it. They loved the color. They loved it. Everybody loved it. Like I said, we had 9 offers on that house.
I don't know if you've had this. I like to add closets.
Add closets? That's where you and I differ.
Build walls, closets, make the floor plan more modern.
Yeah.
And on this house, this contractor, I said just build standard, either 4 or 6 openings. Mm-hmm. He built them a little too small, but what he did was he built the top, the header too low.
Too low, so the closet doors didn't fit?
Yeah, so if you go buy them off Home Depot, they won't go in. So there's so many things you have to.
Yeah, there's little.
You have to be on it on your projects.
And honestly, not that specific reason. I just don't do closets. My guys charge a lot for closets because it's so much. If you think about it, it's framing, it's drywall on both sides, it's corner bead, it's texturing, it's mudding, it's like, and then you add the doors and everything on it, and it gets really expensive really fast. And regardless of what appraisers will tell you, there is no. And if anybody can cite this in anywhere, please. I still challenge appraisals every once in a while. There is no requirement, or the requirement that you've probably heard, that a bedroom needs to have a closet to be considered a bedroom. I have not been able to find anywhere that it actually says that anywhere other than it's like word of mouth.
Section 8.
Okay? So, you bring it to me. You bring it to me. I haven't seen it anywhere. Well, you mean talking specifically in Section 8?
Yeah, it's on the inspection list.
Like I said, I've never seen it anywhere. So, I don't put closets in. Okay? If there's not a closet already, I don't put one in. Ryan, I know you've had your hand up a while. Last question.
No, it was more just a comment that you might think about in lieu of having a plan, you might create a standard spec that can be modified per house, but you have a lot of standard stuff anyway with standard colors, to just include in the contract with the contractor. And then of course, just quick.
Yeah, we kind of skipped over that. So, in my scope of work, that's generally like the disclaimers on it. Okay? Like I don't directly pick up, deliver a material. The keys are to be returned to the lockbox immediately after being opened. They're not to leave the property at any time for whatever reason, even for 2 minutes. I don't care if you're running to the store for a quick tool or whatever. Leave the keys in the lockbox, because that is when somebody's going to show up that I scheduled, and it happens all, oh, I was just gone for 5 minutes. Yeah, well, your 5 minutes just caused me hours of a headache.
2 lockboxes.
So, 2 lockboxes. I do actually have a backup, and I've learned that I need a backup of my backup, because when the backup fails is when the guys lose the keys, replace the door locks without telling you, and then your backup set doesn't actually work anymore. So sometimes you can't fix everything, but you can try and think ahead. Laminate flooring, like flooring gets installed late as possible. Guys all the time, they'll try and get you to install the flooring, especially if they're behind, because it makes them feel like something's getting done and they want to start another way, whatever. Flooring goes in last, okay? And then all that stuff too, finished materials. It's just, I put that in everywhere, okay? I've tried, like I said, to do kind of a more of a spec as far as like what if we use this, do that, if we use this, do that. Most of these flips, these low end stuff, and if you're using guys that you're trying to still make a profit on, these guys are not, most of them are not, they're not professional engineers. They're not used to reading blueprints or specs, certain stuff like that, where I struggle to get them to read this, okay? It depends on the crew, okay? Some crews I tried to be a lot more, because we kept screwing up on the same things. Okay, so I tried to systematize it a little bit better for them. Well, it turns out that guy don't like to read. Okay, so it didn't matter what I typed out. He didn't read it, or he glanced over it so fast he missed it. So it depends on who you're working with. If it's a high-end contractor on a higher-end job, and you have plans and everything like that, absolutely. But okay, that is all I got. Again, if you want to partner on something, there's my contact info. I'm happy to answer any questions, or just give me a call. In general, you guys all have my number. And you new members out there, make sure you get on that 30-minute call with me. Okay? All right. Thank you, everybody.